All right, qualifying leads. Here we are, the fun part. This is where the rubber meets the road. All right, so when we're qualifying leads, we're thinking about CPR time. Qualifying leads is an essential part of lead generation because we want to be efficient with our time. We don't want to waste the property owner's time. A lot of these folks are in stressful situations, and if we're not able to serve them, or if we can't find out that we're able to serve them because we're working with other people that just aren't out there that we're not a good fit for, then we're not serving folks. We're not being efficient with our time, and it doesn't allow us to get the job done. It can lead to a lot of frustration. So, although you want to have a go-giver mindset and feel like you can help every single person you speak to, you do want to be efficient with your time so that you can run your business in a way that's going to give you time freedom and help you satisfy the needs of those folks who really, truly, truly need your help and fit. And so, one great acronym, a way to think about this is the CPR time. Thanks to, I think, my brother from Wholesale Nation who shared this acronym to me, but it's an awesome way of qualifying leads. And the four pillars are the condition of the property, the price of the property that the seller is looking for, the reason for selling, which is the most important, and their timeline. To be quite honest, just to let you know that fourth one, the reason for selling, is the most important thing. And all of these are condition, the price, and the timeline are really trying to figure out what their reasons are for selling to see if there is an opportunity to meet their desires and help them with their needs, which always will often turns into opportunities for you to monetize. So let's take a look. Qualifying leads, the process versus the script. Now you are going to have a script if you check out Do REI Deals sales script. However, this is not a script that's designed for you to master verbatim. It is really to understand the process of sales. Sales is a great space, a great field to be in because what it really requires to be a great salesperson is to really be a good person. You need to have qualities like active listening, building rapport, asking questions, being able to be clear and clarify things by setting the rules and the expectations, as well as having cultural competency, which means having the ability to understand the frame and limits of your own perspective and understanding that other people have frameworks and limits of their own perspective so that when you're interacting, connecting with them, you're able to uh, to have a conversation in a way that is respectful and can possibly lead to better connections because people work with folks they know, like, and trust. All right. So we're going to take a look at what it looks like to speak to property owners. And when you think about property owners, speaking to property owners, again, being likable, being trustworthy, and being familiar is so important. These are using tools and techniques of how we're set up as human beings, certain biases for familiarity. Through evolutionary time terms, really you can look back at at folks who were our great ancestors who had to make sure that that's those space in the world which was unknown, the unfamiliar, could be lead to death and could be dangerous. So anything that was familiar was seen as okay, this may possibly be safe because I know it now. And that's the same thing when it comes to how we interact with people, folks. If you are connected with somebody, people that you like, there's a thing called it's some form of mimicking in the mind of the brain where you will start imitating or mimicking the behavior, the mannerisms of the people around, and you're subconsciously you're set up to do this because it's showing, hey, we're connected, we're familiar, we like each other. But we're going to review several of these. We're going to review these bullets and then start to practice, hopefully on your own, if you get the opportunity, if you step out there and you're doing it. So I know you are. So check it out. Um, Being likable, trustworthy, familiar is just something that's something you can continuously work on. Definitely recommend that a lot of self-awareness practices, a lot of great material and books are out there in the self-help stage and space where it allows you to develop as a better as a person. Now, when we talk about disrupting the pattern, folks are being bombarded with calls and messages. And one of the reasons I love my approach to having conversations with folks, particularly when I'm coming from from a helping space, whether it's helping folks in probate or helping folks who are trying to find long-term care for their families, I come in as the person who's going to offer some solutions to the home and to the stuff if they're going through a probate process or if they're going through trying to find space and home for the family, but the property is possibly in the way. And so instead of me coming in as the, hey, this is Courtney from big blah 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 estate pro service LLC, and I do all this. When I'm getting on the phone, when I'm calling someone, I'm speaking to someone, I am not trying to sound salesman at all. And there is a debate going on now whether or not when you answer the phone, do you say start with someone's name? Hi, John. John, hey John, this is Courtney. For a while that was working, but there are a lot of folks saying that, or a lot of my colleagues who are recognizing that people are actually getting used to this. They're getting adapt to that type um, of call, and so as opposed to John, the thing is you want to feel familiar. You don't want to sound salesman. So sometimes someone gets on the phone, hey, how you doing? Something as simple as that. And what? Okay, what? I'm fine. Who is this? And then you go ahead into your unique propositioning. And remember, the first 3 seconds are going to buy you the next 3 seconds. So disrupting the pattern at the very beginning, how you set the tone, how you introduce yourself, how you say hello, and how you get your unique sales proposition is going to really stand out. And so I really encourage you to be your complete self when you're practicing your intro. But the the goal is to disrupt the pattern so that they're not used to. And one way that we do this is by allowing our or helping the seller say no. So quite often when I start my conversation, I will ask them, say, oh, well, hey, well, actually, hey, I'm Courtney, just calling about the house at 472 Main Street. We're interested in buying over there, but it sounds like I caught you at a bad time. You know, I'm giving them opportunity to say no, as opposed to, is this a good time? Where maybe inclined to say no or yes. If they say no, this is not, it's all right, it's not a bad time. Therefore, give me permission to continue to speak. Or if they say yes, it's a bad time, then it gives opportunity to set a prior commitment, that micro commitment that we get to fulfill by setting up a new time and actually contacting them at those times. All these feed into making sure that you are can be trusted. And again, setting the expectations. If you do get to the point where you actually are speaking, then you just set the rules of the game. We are human beings. We like to know the rules of the game. So set the rules. It's very hard to play a game if you don't know the rules. It can be extremely frustrating. So as human beings, we love novelty and we love structure as well. So the novelty of going through this sales process with you, but knowing that they have a hand that's guiding them is going to make them feel secure. And you can do that by letting them know, hey, we're setting the expectations. Hey, I buy properties based on three things: the market value. I base it off the condition of the property, and of course your situation. So, what can you tell them about the condition? So I'm telling them what I base it off of, and I let them know. You're setting the rules as you go. So I let them know. Okay, we're just calling to see if we're a good fit. If we are, awesome. That'd be great. We'll move. That'd be awesome. If we're not, no problem, no worries. Again, give them a chance to say no, but also let them know at the end of this conversation, this is what we can expect, or in this step, this is what we're expecting. This is what this step is, and this is what we can expect here. And the great thing about it is you can actually set the expectations and rules by helping them set the expectations and rules by asking them, okay, what's next? We'll talk about that in a few moments. But again, I love the CPR time when you're asking when you're in the conversation, you're asking open-ended questions. Yes and no questions are really not strong for sales in most situations. But open-ended questions where you are, as opposed to, has the roof been fixed in the last 5 years? Or when has the roof been fixed? What gives a one definite question? Tell me about the roof. That opens it up. You want to be listening. We want to be listening. Folks who are salesmen or salespeople who are listening more are the ones who are converting more. You want to be talking about 20% of the time when they're talking 80% of the time, and you do this by asking guided questions. The person who's asking the questions is really the person who's in control of the conversation. Some questions you can ask, of course, about the condition, and you'll see those if you do pull the Do RE Ideal script. You'll see all those in the script. But really, the property is the least important thing. But you do need to know the beds, baths, square footage, condition of the property. what the bathrooms look like. I love to ask, hey, so if you had $10,000, what would you do, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? How are the mechanics, the AC, the heating, the plumbing, the electrical? Those are the things that are important to jot down and note. And they are important because you are going to have to understand how much work needs to be done by your average buyer. But the reason you're asking these questions is to see if it qualifies, if there's any distress in the condition of the property can be helpful to you when it comes to negotiation and meeting their pain or their needs. Well, what do you think it's worth? You're asking the price is the part that really stumbles a lot of people asking about the property, and that's one question I do like to ask because a lot of folks are trained or conditioned to think that if you name your price first, then you've lost. That a lot of sellers are out there and buyers as well, and I would say that in a lot of ways it can anchor you and can you. I rarely ever give a price. I'm trying to meet the price of the seller, and I do sometimes, we'll share different ranges and things that we can do. But I'm asking, what are you hoping for? What do you think it's worth? Or how much a property is selling in that area? And through questioning, helping the buyer recognize where their prices are. Now, if there's just push. There are methods and tools that I use, and we can discuss those different notes. But well, actually, I'll say I'll take a look at old Zillow and I'll just say, okay, 66% of what the Zillow Z estimate is. Even though I know the Z estimate's always off, if I go 66% and I say, hey, we're probably gonna be somewhere around there, Mrs. Sellers, is something you're thinking about? Or probably not, I'll be like, heck no, or heck yeah, or we're not sure. But asking the price is important. Now, this is just in the qualifying stage. You're not having super deep conversations. This is something where perhaps you have a virtual assistant or you're just trying to get it to see if it is even worth continuing to follow up on. Now, there are maybe some, I'll say at this point, that you may speak to a person who's a seller and they're ready to go right then, right there. But quite often, you're building a connection, building a rapport to see if it is a good match. Now, the reason for selling, again, this is the most important thing. We're going to go deeper into exploring the pain and desires of folks, but you're really trying to tease out what's the pain because people they make decisions based on meaning, based on really emotions, and then they rationalize it. So we need to meet their emotional needs to see if we can meet their emotional needs by helping discover it and find out. And what's really important is finding out what that pain is and what that impact is on their life. And if that pain or desire was resolved and met, what would that mean to them? Again, we are meaning making people. And it's so important to help them recognize that because then that's where our value really comes in when we meet that. And another way to find the motivation is asking, what is your timeline? So if we agree on price or if we agree on terms, how soon would you like to close? You need to close in 2 weeks, you need to close in 4 weeks, and you close in 6 months. One good question I really like to ask sometimes to a seller is, especially if they live in houses, you wouldn't want the money then be able to move out later, would you? Because there are opportunities that you can help somebody who maybe living in a house or whatever the situation. They need the money at closing, but they still need a couple of days or month, depending on what you agree to be able to leave the house and do what they need to do and have access to the funds, And again, this whole time we're setting micro commitments. The micro commitments are opportunities for you to have an agreed upon thing and meet it. That could be, hey, all right, I'll give you a call tomorrow at 9 o'clock. All right, I'm going to come out there, and if we're cool with the price, we're going to sign the contract today, yeah, right? Or you're going to tell me no, all right, right? This may be all this stuff right there, or when you do get the contract, when we're down the road, explaining, okay, this is the next step in the title process, is I'll speak to you, all those different things, allowing you to set we don't want the seller to be in the dark, and we want to help over communicate so that we can really help guide them all the way through to the end. And that is quite often asking what's next. All right. And sometimes during this process of qualifying, quite often you are letting them know what's next. But particularly if you're going for the close, you may ask what's next. But in this situation, when we're qualifying leads, if you're at the preliminary stage, you might let them know, okay, hey, well, thanks for the information. This is what happens next. My team's going to look at this, or it'll be great to go out there and set an appointment. Is there an opportunity for me to come out there and take a look tomorrow, or you're setting those micro commitments and explain, okay, we're going to come out there, we're going to look at the property. If we're think we're in the right place, are you ready to sell yet? uh, are signed, then because you really don't want the buyer, and this is really digging deep into setting appointments. We're going to have a different, we're going to repeat this in the setting appointments conversation. But you want the buyer to know that, or the seller to know that when I come out there, are you ready to go? And this sets the stage for them to meet that commitment as well. So it's not only opportunity for you to fulfill your commitment, but people like to have congruency and do what they say they're going to do. And so you're helping them set their uh, uh, commitment up as well. Or not set their commitment, but meet their commitment as well. All right. Now, some tips is the role play, role play, role play. Make sure you're role playing at least twice a week. I would find someone role play. You can role play in the mirror. You can practice with other folks in the different communities, the Do RE Ideals community, the Life in Transition Experts community. Role play is very important if you can record your calls. I would listen to the calls. That's extremely important. Pick a day out where you're listening to your calls, you're dissecting it. Hey, share it on YouTube. Share it with folks so that people can see your progress and really start to build up your brand awareness as well. You're studying negotiation techniques and tips from different seminars and books and workshops. There's amazing ones in place, and that's definitely important for us to continue to hone our skills, like Kobe in the gym, and make sure you have a system and a process for continuing to work on your tools and your skills. So the better salesperson you are, the better you're going to be able to really, as I said earlier, identify the needs of other folks and help them uh, by meeting their needs. Yep. And there it is. All right. So let me stop sharing here. Stop. All right.